All right, welcome to Bella and I's studio. And this week, in Posca Wednesdays, we're going to be starting back up where we left off last week, which is hopefully finishing this sketch up. Over the course of the week, I was thinking about different ideas, and I had an idea come up with what I wanted to put over here in the description. So for the description of this, I wanted to tell a story, as I've been telling over the course of putting this together, because telling a story as I'm drawing helps me draw. It helps me come up with uh, the background and the foreground and everything else, because it's just part of the process for me, and I like to share that with you guys in real time. So the story that I came up with is called "The City Dump Friends." In a quiet corner of the city, where old cans and broken things were left behind, a small world carried on. Jerry found a home in a dented can. Fred rested on a warm stone. Snaily followed the soft grass, one slow inch at a time. And Stephen watched from above, wings open to the sky. To some, it was only a dump, but to them, it was a shelter, food, and friendship. Life, it seemed, could grow anywhere, even in the places people forgot. So, and I like to do that for each page because I get invested in each page, and as we go along, it's this whole sketchbook will turn into a story for me, and I really enjoy doing that. So, without further ado, let's get out our Posca pens and create some art. Okay. Hello, baby. Bella says good morning to everybody. She's already ate breakfast and now she's relaxed and she wants to take a nap. So that's where we're at with Bella. So sweet, man. All right. So where I want to start first is I want to get this sky. I want to get a second coat on this sky, just so because we're not going to be putting our hand in it, you know. So we'll just start right up here. We'll make quick work of it. How was your guys' week? Anything happen that was exciting? Maybe a birthday, maybe an anniversary. Heck, maybe a wedding. Maybe somebody got married. I don't know very many of you yet, but you know, you never know. Where are you guys watching from? I I had a subscriber reply to one of my questions I was asking you guys here a couple weeks ago about some names. I hadn't named the seagull or the mouse yet, and I was inquiring that somebody would come up with a name, I would use it. And honestly, I really, I got into another video. Just for transparency, I try to stay a couple videos ahead because as a creator, I create 3 times a week and I upload 3 shorts a week and I upload cross-platform. So I'm the only one here, Bella and I. Bella doesn't know anything about working computers or the camera or anything, so she's doing what she's doing. She's just the supervisor. But for everything else, I'm doing it. I'm doing all the post edit stuff. I'm doing the drawing. I'm doing the creative side of it and the editing side of it. And in doing that, it takes a lot of my creative time. So it's beneficial for me to get a couple videos ahead so that I'm not always under pressure to make videos. It makes it a lot smoother for me. I can relax when I'm creating art. I don't feel rushed. So, anyways, I asked that, um, from the audience to come up with a name, and one of our community members did. She came up with, I believe, Gus and Cece, which were both awesome names. But the deal is I already made a video, another video, before that one was released, naming these guys, which you guys seen in my last video. So I doxed myself a bit, and I admit to that, and I needed to let her know what had happened, and I promised her that, hey, you know, for on the next page, you can name the first critter or whatever, you know, however we want to do that, however, whatever fits in my creative flow. So I'm not going to stop making videos ahead of time, because that's just the way it's going to have to be for me to be able to stay creative and not get burnt out. Because I'm telling you, that's exactly what will happen if you try to do these things in real time. You know, the day of and stuff like that. You could really, you know, something might happen. I might have a doctor's appointment that day and not be able to be consistent with my Posca Wednesday, or I might have, you know, something else going on. I might come down with an illness, God forbid. I haven't been sick since 2016. Just to let you guys in on a little bit about myself there. I haven't even had a common cold since 2000. Well, actually, since probably 2017 or 18. So it's been years I haven't been sick. So, but I'm just saying, things happen. And I want to make sure that my audience is taken care of, and that, you know, the channel can move forward even in times where I might need to take a week off. So, and that's why I guarantee you most creators do that. And just how it is. Not a lot of them will tell you that. But that's how it is. And if you want to stay creative and you want to stay in the game, you know, as far as, you know, putting out videos for people and content, because that's what I really like to do, is create stuff like this. You have to stay ahead a little bit. So when we go into our next sketch, my plan is, moving forward, is to have you guys name the critters in the comments. And by the end of the sketch, or by the end of the page, which might be, you know, 3 or 4 videos, maybe more, I don't know. It all depends. I'm not going to put a time limit on anything. But 3 or 4 videos, generally. That's what I'm seeing so far. What I'll do is I'll take those names into consideration. The first come, first serve. So like if somebody named one of the critters, you know, a certain name in on one video, and then another person tried to name that same name, it's first come, first serve. So the first person that came up with a name to begin with will get credit for that name if it gets randomly picked, because I'm going to use a random generator to randomly pick these names for each critter. So, and once I do that, with the exception of the one that I promised to one of my subscribers that tried to name them, because I really didn't expect anybody to name it. I'm just going with the flow. I mean, I do ask genuine questions that I would really like the answers to, but, you know, I understand not everybody's willing to engage that way. And until you are, that's where we're at. So anyways, what I'd like to do is I'd like to randomly generate these names at the end of a sketch. And then what I'll do is in the back of the book, I'll write, you know, we'll dedicate maybe the second, you know, maybe the last 2 pages to every page in this sketch, and I will put all the names of every critter back there, and I will give credit to the person, the subscriber, and I'll use your subscriber name to you know, I'll match you to the name of those critters in on that page. So however that'll look, it's an idea forming. So, and I think that would be, you know, because you guys are a part of this. You guys are a part of my journey. You guys are a part of keeping me motivated and creating art. So, and I enjoy that. I enjoy every one of you. Every one of you are precious and a part of this, and I want you to feel that. So, that's where the stories come in. I was like, you know, I was kicking around the can. I was like, you know, we told a story the whole time as we're drawing. You know, I don't want to lose that. you know, in just the videos. So I figured at the end of it, I'll come up with a story that unifies the whole journey of what we did here. So yeah, I just thought it would be kind of a neat way to give back to you guys and allowing you guys to, you know, come up with the names of the critters. And if you don't, if we don't, you know, it might take a while, but somebody might get credit for a few of them. You know, I mean, there might only be one of you guys commenting there, you know, of all the names, and you might end up naming every critter in the book, which I guess would be all right. You know, I mean, okay, that's all right. I mean, I hope that in the future it's more of a collaborative thing, and a lot of you guys get involved with that. We're going to be at this for a while. There's 40, I believe 44 pages here. Might be 42. So minus a couple of the pages for credits. And that's how I want to move forward with it. I think it would be a neat little way of doing this sketchbook. It adds to it a bit. There's our second coat. And I'm happy with that. Yeah. I want to come in and make this rock here for our buddy Fred. Now I'm going to do that. So I'm going to come in here. I'll come in here and I'll start out with some brown here. And I'll come in with some gray. And we can cover some of that brown if we need to. Here. You we're not going to have all brown there. That's what's cool about these Posca pens. Ooh, I told you I'm the worst offender for this. Stuck my fingers right in the paint. Ah, well. It's not going to ruin it. We could fix it. And actually, it's not that bad, so. I just need to be mindful of that so that we don't do that too much here. And maybe we're going to have, you know, this rock is going to be weathered. It's going to be a weathered stone. You don't need a lot. I'm going to let that dry and I'm going to come down here because that's going to be grass for Snaily. And what I want to do, the thought that I was having here with the grass, because I'm trying to come up with a more reasonable way of making the grass. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here with the light first, and then I'll make clumps with the dark. So I'll almost turn it on its side. I don't really want to cover up the dark stuff that we already got. And it's not really covering up the dark stuff. I mean, maybe a little bit, but not really. We don't want to hit that page underneath here with the grain. It's really hard for me not to cover the whole page with some kind of color. I mean, you know, I have a hard time with that. I have to cover the whole thing. Let us know. Do you have to cover the whole page when you're doing stuff like this? I mean, is that just part of the territory with you? just like it is with me. Let us know. You want to be careful not to bury snails here in grass. This is Snail's little forest. It's the reason why Snails is here is because of this little patch of grass. Snails doesn't really like you know what? I'm just going to cover that. Then we'll come back over it. Make the flowers again. Yeah, Snails doesn't really like the rocks as much as Fred does. When I was younger, well, you know, a younger man, I've said this before in some of my videos, but I used to walk the bike path here in town all the time. All the time I walked this bike path. And some of the things that I was mindful of, I used to pick up trash and stuff on the bike path. You know, just because I just felt like it was a calling, just a simple way of teaching myself to be dedicated, to persevere, in my own way, in a small way there, right? Other things that I was led to do while I was on this bike path, this walk, is man, we had a lot of snails. Snails, slugs, I don't know if they're the same thing. Let us know down in the comments. But there's a lot of snails and slugs, some with shells, some without, that would be crossing this bike path, like wee hours in the morning, because I get up early. I mean, I'm early. I'll be walking that bike path at 5 o'clock in the morning. I am not even joking. So when I used to do that, I don't walk that bike path like that anymore. I'll take the scooter, just because of my mobility issues. I have nerve damage really bad in my feet. But I would take these little snails and these little slugs, because they would try to cross the bike path and they'd get out in the middle of the bike path and stuff. And I knew that people riding by on their bikes might not see them, you know, and run over them, you know, for whatever, you know, because they didn't see them or whatever, you know, kind of thing. And so that you know, I didn't sit well with me, just knowing that could happen. I had to act. And what I did was I made sure that these little snails didn't stay on the bike path. I'd pick them up and take them back over to the grass as I was passing through, and there's a lot of them. So you can imagine I was bending over picking up snails a good part of my walk. So I'd pick them up and I'd set them gently back over in the grass, let them go on their way, kind of thing. It was important for me to be friendly like that with little critters, because I love all critters. I love all animals. I love all things like that. So in that kind of way. And that's how I practiced that. That's how I trained my heart and my mind to come together as one. That's how I fed my soul. There was also worms and stuff that do the same thing. So it wasn't just slugs and snails that I was picking up and carrying on over to safety, but it was also the earthworms and stuff. Especially after it rained a little bit, there would really be a high concentration of traffic with these things, with these little critters. So I would be there constantly, bending over, picking them up, setting them over in the grass. If you've ever done anything like that, let us know, please. I know I'm not the only one that cares about nature that much, so just let us know. You know, it's no harm, no foul. You're not tooting your own horn. You're not asking for, you know, any kind of, you know, pat on the back. You're just identifying. When you say stuff like that, you're identifying. And you know, I'd like to just put it out there. You know, this is normal. It's okay to be like that. It's okay. It's okay to do things like that. You know, you could feel confident that it's normal. Okay, now this paper, this is a Canson paper, 90 weight. And I'm just going to tell you, this is the only paper I got that'll take the Posca pen. It's not ideal. Probably want something a little heavier. But this will work. So I'll just put that out there. But it's the only paper I got. And I can't afford to just go out and buy a bunch of different kinds of paper and stuff. It's not feasible for me. I got a lot of paper here, and I'm gonna try to make do with what I got. But if you go over it too much, like I just did over here, it'll start chewing the paper up, because that's what these Posca pens tend to do. They'll chew the paper up a little bit if it's not the right kind of paper, right? So that's what we're dealing with. It's okay. It's no harm, no foul. It'll work. I love that. It worked out pretty good, right? So. For the type of art that we're doing, okay? There's Snaily. Snaily's got his home. We're gonna come under Jerry and do a similar deal here. And if we don't get done with this sketch today, you know, we don't get done with it. It's okay. You know, we can come back next week and do the final touches. I mean, it's fine. We'll do the best we can, though, okay? We'll try to get there with it. But I hope you guys enjoyed the journey so far with this, with the city dump here and these friends, and you know how they found comfort here and friendship amongst the rubble, you know, with each other, and food. You know, this can's like a little pantry for Jerry. I mean, you know, a little place he can hang out away from the wind, away from the cold. You know, it's fun to imagine, and you're never too old to stop imagining, or you're never too old to imagine. Excuse me. A lot of great artists storytelling, and the reason why they do it is because it helps them. It helps them to do the art. If you look at trying to think of his name, he was definitely somebody I like to watch, and his name was Bob Ross. So if you watched any of his stuff when you were younger, if you're my age, I still think he's probably pretty famous. I still think a lot of people do watch his stuff. But he always told stories, you know. He told stories as he painted, and there's a reason why. The reason why he did that. It's because it helped him. When you're drawing, when you're in this mindset and you're concentrating, you know, you can do a couple things. Some people can do a couple things at once. You know, I can storytell and draw at the same time. It's just something I'm able to do, right? What drawing does, or the mind, or the place that I am in right now, as I'm telling a story and I'm drawing at the same time, is a place of comfort. It's a place of identity. It's a familiar place to me. When I'm not drawing and I'm trying to tell a story, it's a lot different. I'm thinking about the camera. I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about everything but what I should be thinking about, right? But when I'm drawing, it calms my mind in a way that allows me to articulate myself in a way that I couldn't otherwise. So, drawing is a form of communication, a really awesome form of communication. And for some people, it's the only way they can communicate. So, we're all dealt with different amounts of things. And our responsibility is to identify that and to give back, or whatever, try to lift others up from that abundance. If we can master that, we end up living a pretty happy life. I mean, life could be pretty happy, you know. I mean, it really can be. So, and I'm a jolly dude, man. I don't have any problems. I don't, you know, I love my kitty. I love what I do. I don't feel lonely at all. I feel loved. I definitely feel loved. I feel blessed. Um, I feel that this is a sort of stewardship. Um, it's something to be responsible with for as long as I get to do it. To be responsible with that. So, and I just hope that I am. I hope that that's that would be the final verdict, was that, hey, Joshua was responsible with that, kind of thing. So I don't need a pat on the back. I just I just want to be responsible with what I've been given and share that joy in hopes that it brings joy to others. But I think the whole concept of you guys engaging and helping me name these critters and then doing the credits in the end of the book is a start to something important. And this isn't going to be our final sketchbook. We're going to do Wednesdays like this. It's going to be, but it's going to be in different mediums. After we're done with this sketchbook, it might be watercolor. I've never done watercolor. And maybe I'll stick to themes that I'm not comfortable with, art that, mediums that I've never worked with. I wouldn't say that I'm not comfortable with. I'm comfortable with working in any medium. It doesn't matter. I mean, I'll figure it out. This is the way I am. Or I'll have fun doing it. One of the two. But I've never worked in watercolor, and I want to do that. I really do. I think it'd be a blast. Or pastels. I think that'd be a lot of fun too, and stuff. So, there we go. Yeah, I think this is the way to do grass with the Posca pens. What do you guys think? If you got an idea and about making grass with Posca pens, and it sounds like it might work, I might try it for sure. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, I think our rock is probably dried up enough. I can come over here now. Get back over here into the black. I don't want to cover that up completely, but I do want to leave it there. So that the black, I mean. I don't want to cover the black up with the gray completely, because I want to remember where it's at so I can come back over it. I don't really want to cover up those flowers, but I think that was the cost of making them before I did the background, because yellow is going to be really hard to cover this gray with. I just know that from experience, so I think that that's probably going to be okay like that. Well, again, we're not going for hyper-realism or anything here. This is supposed to be a childlike art exercise. Because obviously I'm new to Posca pens. So, if I strive for photorealism, I don't even know if it's possible with Posca pens, but anyway. If I strove for something looking more realistic, outside of maybe a concept art or this type of art, cartoon type art, then I think that I might be in for a sad awakening. I think I would spin my wheels. And I mean, you could come up with some pretty cool looking stuff. I mean, I don't know how, I mean, I look at the camera back at the video and stuff, and I'm looking at it, and it does render the colors really well, but man, it just looks so much better in person. I gotta admit to you guys, this, I really think so, but that's okay. I mean, still looks good on video, I think, but it really looks good in person. Probably because of the paint and the texture of the paint and how the paint comes across. You can't really see that on camera like you can when you're looking at it close up. A lot of times texture tells a story, helps tell the story of a painting. It does. All right, let's get some of these going back on here. Whoop. Okay. Yeah. It goes right back over it for the little flowers. Right back over the green. Like we didn't miss a thing, right? Oh, it'll do it right over the gray too. I didn't think it would do that, but it definitely did. So we'll go ahead and spend some time here as well. Just little dots. Just to signify that, there's something going on right there. Yeah. I tell you guys what, this is gonna bring a lot of joy to me for years to come, being able to come back here and look on this and just, seeing not only the growth in myself with Posca pens, but reading the little stories and remembering all the people that were involved with coming up with the names of the little critters. Just things like that, man. They bring so much joy to my heart. It's amazing. And that's what we're doing. We're building something. And when you're building stuff, sometimes that's what it is. It takes a little bit to come up with that. So now I'm gonna go into purple, because what I'm gonna do is I'm coming up here to these, and I'm gonna come around this black in certain areas, because this is gonna be the transition. From the black, as far as the color goes of these piles. Okay. This is the way we're learning how to shade. This is a shading technique that we're learning with the Posca pens. I'll keep my hands away from that. Don't want to put my hands on it, folks. You had somebody sit here and just slap my hand whenever I go there. It'll be alright. You know, when I was young, my great-grandma, she had a big part in raising us because my mom, she was a single mother and she worked full time. So, you know, my great-grandma, would babysit us until my mom got off work and came and picked us up. So we would be walking to grandma's house after school. Yeah, we had all our meals there, and my grandma was an awesome cook, man. That woman, she'd been through the Great Depression. She was old. I mean, she was born in 1912 or something like that. Super, super old. But anyway, she had a lot of great stories, and you know, would tell us those stories. But she also had a lot of quirky habits, things that she believed, you know, was right, and they probably were. So we would pray before every meal, you know. She'd have one of us say the prayer, and if we didn't say it correctly, she would say things like sing song, you know, stuff like that, just to point out that, hey, you know, you're not being serious about you praying to the Lord and stuff like that for your meal. Which, you know, we were raised that way. So if you weren't, that's okay. I was, and this is how it went. But one of the things that she was adamant about was not putting your elbows on the table when you ate. And if you did that, you would figure out real quick that she didn't like that, because she would stab you with her fork. Oh my goodness, Grandma. I'm telling it now. But yeah, she would reach over with that fork and she boom. And my mom picked up on that too. She did the same stuff. So yeah, things like that. But my grandma was great, man. And living through that depression, she did a lot of things like um, aluminum foil. She would reuse it. She had a pile of aluminum foil after she used some. She would, and it wasn't used up. She would take it and put it on that pile to use it again. Same with paper towels. She did the same thing. Everything like that was reused. It was always repurposed. And I grew up in a environment like that where we repurpose things. And I think that this story is fitting to tell that story about, because that's what this story is about repurposing things, and you know, the things that thrive in an environment of repurpose. I am repurposed. I fell 35 feet and broke my back, broke my feet, broke my hand. I popped 4 metacarpals from my left wrist. I could show you the rest of my scars, but that's all they are, scars. What's more important to me was that I'm repurposed. I'm a repurposed human being. I went back to school. I learned how to code. I learned a lot of things about computers, AI stuff, just a lot. And I've been repurposed. And here I am now with a YouTube channel, wanting to tell my story and wanting to grow into a business, you know, something that could thrive and, you know, help other people along the way. And that's what it's all about. And enjoy myself doing it. And so far I am. I mean, you know, I think of you guys and you know, you guys come and watch the videos and support me that way. For me, that's priceless. That's a I could never imagine anybody wanting to watch me draw. Really, I'd be straight with you. I mean, my neighbors have supported me, you know, tell me, "Oh, you're talented," you know, and stuff like that. But that's always sort of been taken with a grain of salt, because it's just something nice to say in passing when somebody's doing stuff. But when people actually come to your channel to watch you paint, it's like, you know, even if there's 5 of you or 10 of you, you know, I mean, 10 people in a room, you know, come into a room to watch me paint. To me, that's, wow, it's amazing. It's not going to be easily forgotten, you know, kind of thing. So that's where my appreciation comes from. That's where my heart is. It's what matters to me and makes sense to me. So I'm gonna come in here and I'm just painting these little monitors brown. I felt like that was a good color to sort of stick with there. Looks pretty good. This looks like maybe it might be a trash bag here. So again, from the bottom of my heart, and I know even though Bella's over there snoring, we both appreciate you. She appreciates you. I appreciate you. She loves being called cute and everything else. And well-behaved young lady. She loves that. She loves that when you guys say stuff like that. Because it's true. Okay, let's try to figure out. I think the rest, some of this is going to be more of a simpler color. Just because it's off, you know, in the distance. It's not something that's right here, right in our face. I like this color because it's not such a dark color. You can literally not worry as much about, you know, hit maybe some of the other colors with it. So it makes it a little more user-friendly of a color. And then you can go back over it with another color real easy. Yep, this Posca Wednesday, it's taken shape for me in my mind with the idea of writing a story per page and then giving you guys credit for coming up with the names of the critters, you know, and then posting the credits in the last couple pages with your guys' username to the animals and the critters on each page. I think I would appreciate that, you know. So yeah, we'll use a random generator, and you know, we'll pick the names that way. And again, it's first come, first serve. So if somebody picks a name in one video and then it gets picked again in a subsequent video, well, the one prior to that video is going to be the one that's going to get the credit for that name if it gets picked through the random generator. So just know that. Be mindful of the comments. Look at what other people are commenting so that you don't pick the same name as somebody else does, and then get you know get surprised if your name doesn't get credit for the name of the critter. Because I will be paying attention to that. And the reason why I'm able to pay attention to that is by staying ahead on the videos in all my series, so that I can do that admin stuff. Because again, it's just me. I don't have anybody working with me or for me. I'm not making any money whatsoever. It's not about that. This is right now. These times are about growing, about telling stories. Seeing who identifies with that. And that's more or less that's the core. That's the foundation. Whatever fruit happens as a result of that is more than humbly accepted. And I appreciate that. I appreciate the support. I appreciate the kindness. Spending your time watching my videos is a kindness beyond measure. Beyond I can't even describe how that I can only begin to describe how that makes me feel. And I'll probably talk about it a lot. I think this is a good color for this here. Once I can hit that grass and not worry about it covering the grass. You know, even if I hit it just a little bit, because I do want to get behind that grass. In the future, when I'm building these things, these worlds, I want to be mindful of that. I don't want to be drawing grass onto white because I know I'm going to have to go back over it with another color. I don't want to put myself into that sort of position. I mean, it's okay, obviously, I guess, with Posca pens, but I think it could be, you could have a better rendition in the end if you did it systematically. I don't want to be bending corners and stuff. So I think once this sketchbook's done, we go into another one. I mean, you know, I don't want to have any bent corners or anything. You know, in this, this is a piece of work, and we got a little bit of time into it. I mean, you're looking at probably 6 months worth of time building this story, building this book, this sketchbook. So, you know, we're going to be coming in and out of pages a lot. So, I have to be careful. Just to let you guys know that as I'm drawing here, if you guys really want to see a closer view of what I'm drawing, you can pinch in. You know, use your fingers and pinch into it. I use I shoot in 4K wide, so that means it's not fish bowled or anything like that. You can pinch in without losing any resolution, so you can pinch right into what I'm drawing. But it's not really a tutorial. It's more or less just storytelling, just calm, cool, collective storytelling, and you could sit back with your cup of coffee and just watch me draw, or draw along, or draw on your own project. But I'm not really showing anybody exactly how to draw. I could do that in the future. It could be something I do, but it's not really something I'm thinking of doing at the moment. All right, I want to come in with like an orange. Then we're going to come in. We're going to get some more color into these piles. Just random here. Just to signify there's some color in those heaps. I don't know. Like that. And that gives this will give our final touches here to the piles of garbage that's stacked up in the background of our drawing. And I've learned a lot so far working with these Posca pens. I work with them pretty regularly lately. So I also work with them in another series that I have called Project Mondays, which is essentially a series about, it's called Project Mondays, Bella versus Aliens right now is the name of the project, Bella versus Aliens. It's always going to be Project Monday. It's just going to be whatever project we're working on. So right now it just happens to be Bella versus Aliens. And what it means to me is I'm going back to a childhood way of, you know, what I felt as a child drawing, all the things that would hinder me from expressing myself in different ways through my art, whether it be telling myself about, you know, getting on myself about tracing, you know, like tracing. If you were a tracer, you weren't a real artist. You know, those kinds of self-talk things, like being a bully to myself, and those are the aliens. So the aliens are essentially a metaphor saying that, you know, these are the things that are coming into my mind that don't belong there, that aren't a part of the land, aren't a part of really what should be happening. So that's why they're aliens. They're not aliens because they're from outer space, even though that's what they are. They look like they are. They're actually aliens, you know, for the imagination. But really, what the aliens are just thoughts, just bullying, self-bullying, telling myself that, you know, I'm not good enough because different things that I've decided to do with my drawings, whether it's tracing. So if I had to trace and I wasn't considered an artist, not in the way that I would like to be considered an artist. Titles were important to me when I was younger. As I got older, I realized that titles are, you know, they're not necessary. We're not creating ugly art per se. We're creating art that reminds us of who we are. So I don't really think that there's any such thing as ugly art. I think that that's a harsh term to be saying. Okay, then we'll come up here. Because when you say things like, you know, create ugly art or whatever, what you're saying is, you know, if your art looks like this, it looks like it's crap, it's ugly. That's not true. You know, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I'll be honest with you. And it's also in the eye of the maturity, too, of the mature people. There's a mature way of looking at art, and it's usually getting over yourself. If you want to see art for what it truly is, you have to get over yourself. You know, there's a lot of folks out there that will look at art and judge it on face value and not realize that, you know, the journey that person went through making that art and the joy that it brought to their heart. That's the art. That's part of the art. So, anyways, that is finished to me. We could even come over this a little bit on the purple. So I kind of like that two-tone that we got there with it. And we could even come up in here. With it just to get some more dark tones of the cloud, so it's more three-dimensional and not just flat, right? And then here's a little blending technique, wet to wet. I'm just going to come underneath it to blend it. I'm not going to try to go over the whole line, just underneath. So there it is, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed that. And I do believe that'll conclude this video. And I will see you guys next week on the next page. Until then, from Bella and I, peace.